Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about muscle imbalances. Muscle imbalances are very common and they can also be quite annoying. It's not very fun to have one bicep that's bigger than the other, or one quad that's slightly bigger than the other, or one shoulder or whatever. It's not very fun. And so how do you go about fixing these muscle imbalances? Before we get into that, I just want to explain a little bit why these muscle imbalances happen in the first place. One big reason could of course be genetics. One side or one bicep, for example, might have a bigger muscle belly than the other. It might have more fast twitch muscle fibers than the other, which will make it more prone to hypertrophy and give it a bigger growth potential and growth response, meaning that, if you compare your two biceps at its max potential of how big it could get, your right bicep, which might have more fast twitch muscle fibers in it, at its max potential is bigger than your left bicep. Another reason could be daily use. Let's say, for example, you play some sport like soccer or tennis, where in soccer you kick with only your right leg or mostly your right leg, or in tennis you swing with mostly your right arm, depending on if you're left or right-handed. That could make your right arm, or actually will make your right arm, bigger than your left arm, because I used to play tennis and my right arm used to be significantly bigger than my left arm. Or maybe you have a job where you, for some reason, use one side of your body more than the other. Like maybe you're a mechanic and when you tighten bolts with the wrench, you always use your right arm. Over a long time, that has the potential to make your right arm or the right side of your body bigger and stronger than the other side. The third reason could be asymmetrical technique, and I'm not going to talk about how to fix that because that's very simple. If you're using asymmetrical technique on any lift whatsoever, what you do is you just lower the weight and work back in with perfect technique, okay? But there is yet another thing that I want you to understand before we get into how you fix these muscle imbalances. If you look at the human body, it is asymmetrical by nature. You have a heart that sits off to one side. You have a huge, heavy liver that sits off to the other side. Your diaphragm, which is like this large dome-shaped muscle between your lungs, that's also asymmetrical. And you have lots of other examples in the human body of how we are asymmetrical. Most people's face, or actually everyone's face, is asymmetrical, which is why if you take a picture of your face and you flip it, your face will look very different. And so, like I said in the beginning of the video, it is very normal to have skeletal asymmetries and muscular imbalances, because basically everyone has them. And if you have a muscular imbalance, I can almost guarantee you that basically no one except you notices. But now, finally, let's talk about how you actually go about fixing these muscle imbalances. And yes, I know I'm in a different place, and that's because I recorded this part of the video like 2 days ago, and I recorded it in the wrong way. I forgot to say a lot of stuff, and so now I am re-recording it and I'm at a different place. Anyways, let's move on. Contrary to the advice that you usually hear when you search up for how to fix a muscle imbalance, you do not want to use unilateral exercises to fix your muscle imbalance. And so instead of doing a single arm dumbbell curl with the weak side first and then matching the reps with the strong side like people usually do when they have a muscle imbalance, just do both at the same time. Because here's the thing, whether it's your pecs or it's your legs that are imbalanced, or your biceps or your triceps, it doesn't matter. Because if you do both arms at the same time, you will fail the exercise when the weak side fails first. You will fail the exercise because the weak side fails first. And so, because you fail the exercise when the weak side has failed and not the strong side, the weak side will have received a stronger muscle growth stimulus than the strong side, and over time it will even out. And so fixing a muscle imbalance is really quite simple. And let me tell you, I used to play tennis, and so when I first started going to the gym, I had just stopped playing tennis, and so my right arm was significantly bigger than my left arm. And I just did regular unilateral exercises like dumbbell curls with both arms at the same time, or barbell curls, or machine curls and stuff like that. I just did regular bilateral exercises, sorry. And my biceps now, they're pretty much exactly the same size. And so there's really no point in doing unilateral exercises for fixing your muscle imbalance, because you can fix it just as quickly and just as well by just doing regular bilateral exercises. And I've done this myself, and I have fixed basically all of my muscle imbalances by just doing regular bilateral exercises. And even though this is not what the video is about, unilateral exercises are pretty much pointless because they take more time, because you have to do one body part and then do the other side. And there's no superior muscle growth stimulus from doing unilateral exercises compared to just doing regular bilateral exercises. But before I end the video, I also want to touch on one more thing that I mentioned earlier. You might genetically have one body part that is just more prone to building muscle than another. So for example, you might have one bicep that has more fast twitch muscle fibers than your left one. And this means that when you inevitably reach your genetic potential of how much muscle you can possibly build, that biceps might still be a little bit bigger than your other one. And that's okay, because usually it's just us that look ourselves in the mirror and critique ourselves because we are not perfectly symmetrical. And that is mostly because social media has convinced us that we are supposed to be. And if you were to ask some of these fitness influencers that look like they have these amazing, perfectly symmetrical physiques, they would be able to tell you that they themselves have or have had muscle imbalances. And so just to make you understand that this is a very, very normal thing. Muscle imbalances are very, very common. And so if you have one, it is nothing to obsess about. And 99.99% of the time, you are the only one that knows that it's even there. But with that being said, that's the end of the video, guys. I really hope it was helpful to you. If it was helpful to you, then don't forget to click that like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. And if you have any questions or suggestions for other videos that you want me to make sure to leave them down in the comments below. But with that being said, I'll see you boys in the next one. Peace.